just to bring you that has broken in the last couple of moments, and that is that a German man considered the main suspect in the disappearance of Madeleine McCann has been cleared this morning of offences against other, regardless of the outcome today. So that the news that we just got in the last few moments of his acquittal on those latest charges.
So he remains in custody for the next nearly a year. We know that, and remains a suspect in the case of Madeleine over in Portugal. Right, it's coming up to 9:15.
Now let's go to Carol, who has the weather. To that breaking news we brought you just a few minutes ago now, the German man considered the main suspect in the disappearance of Madeleine.
On breakfast, Damien will have an update, of course, on the BBC News channel and on the BBC News at 1 this lunchtime.
23 minutes past 9. Next month, the first ever Women's Amputee World Cup will take place in Colombia, and the England team have qualified for the tournament.
As with most competitions, though, of course, it costs a lot of money, doesn't it, to send a squad out all that way. They had to raise £50,000 to cover all the costs of taking part.
After appearing on Breakfast yesterday, the team have now passed their goal. And we are joined by one of their players, Annabelle Kiki.
On BBC One.
Love her.
Well done you too, John. Brilliant stuff. Right, that's it from us today. Breakfast back from 6 o'clock tomorrow.
Have a lovely day. Bye-bye.
Bye.
That report from Tim Moffat. And at 10 o'clock on Radio 5 Live this morning, our correspondents Lise Doucette and Paul Adams will be answering some of your questions on the current conflict. You can also watch it live on the BBC News channel and online. Recycling rules could mean customers paying higher prices and some producers might go out of business altogether.
Nina's gone to a recycling facility for us this morning in South East London and joins us.
Kamala Harris speaking on 60 Minutes.
Now, here in the UK, we don't see too many wild animals at our train stations. Maybe the
pigeon?
Odd pigeon, yeah, maybe a squirrel.
Don't know how wild they are anymore.
In Sydney, in Australia, kangaroos, wallabies, koalas all over the place. In a moment, we've got a really special exclusive interview with Sir David Jason talking here on Breakfast about his career, about the ghost of Del Boy and about being, I was going to say united with a daughter who he never knew existed. It's really interesting. It's really...
This is Breakfast with John Kay and Sally Nugent. And after a day of commemorations marking a year since the Hamas attacks on Israel, the conflict in the Middle East has continued overnight. The Israeli military has carried out further airstrikes on Hezbollah targets in southern Lebanon, with plumes of smoke seen across the Beirut skyline and loud explosions heard across the city. In a defiant speech, Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said his country would continue to fight as long as its existence was threatened. Air raid sirens could also be heard in central Israel as long-range missiles were launched towards Tel Aviv overnight. Hezbollah said it had targeted a military base on the outskirts of the city. The Lebanese government said more than 1 million people have been displaced by the escalating fighting and more than 400,000 have fled across the border into Syria. Well, our reporter Tim Moffat has been speaking to two fathers, one Palestinian, one Israeli, who've both lost daughters in the conflict, but have joined together to help other families promote peace and reconciliation. Gorgeous
in a couple
interview.
Of minutes' time, yeah.
It's really lovely. But now, at 13 minutes past 8, we're going to go to Carol, who has this morning. This time next year, John, what will we be doing?
Hopefully here. Fingers crossed.
Yes,
You want to be a millionaire?
I'd like to be.
Like Del Boy?
Should we work on that?
Yeah.
We're talking about Del Boy. Of course, that is his famous phrase, isn't it? It's more than 40 years since the nation was first introduced to the wheeler dealer himself, Derek Trotter, in the BBC series Only Fools and Horses, which made Sir David Jason a household name.
Yeah, that character became known for his ingenious catchphrases, his witty one-liners. One of them have inspired his new memoir, which is called This Time Next Year. It's all about positivity, including the story of meeting his grown-up daughter for the very first time. And Sir David invited me to have a chat at the hotel where he goes and sat to write that memoir. What a lovely man. And wouldn't that be great? Treading the boards in his mid-80s. Wow, be fantastic.
Yeah. You get the sense that he's actually quite a private person. For someone who's so well-known, that face is so recognisable.
Yeah. Yeah, I think... You know, he's written and wants to talk about his life and he's talked about, you know, finding his daughter and the surprise of that. You get the impression he wants to share the message of positivity, but I think he's more comfortable talking about the career stuff, the anecdotes, the people, the parts.
Yeah.
And also that, I felt quite sad when he said that he felt, I mean, he's obviously immensely proud of Del Boy, but it's a shame that he feels in a way that it kind of, it holds him back a bit, that you don't, and when you see those clips of Frost and Open All Hours, Darling Buds of May, all the stuff he's done.
Del Boy was so good.
Yeah.
Bonnet de douche, John.
Bonnet de douche.
Come on.
Oh, it's lovely to meet him, Sir David Jason, and his memoir, this time next year, brackets Rodney, A Life of Positive Thinking, is out this week.
Yeah, we're definitely up for a bit of positive thinking,
Absolutely.
aren't we?
If the National Theatre wants to get in touch,
Yes.
I'll take 10%. We can make it happen, right?
It is 8:27, time to get the news and travel where you are. It's talking on 60 Minutes overnight.
Now, a Star Wars Stormtrooper helmet is going to be auctioned in London next month.
It is exactly 25 minutes past 7. You are watching Breakfast from BBC News. And a woman who spent 48 years wondering why her dream job application was never answered has finally found out why.
Tizzy Hodson could hardly believe her eyes when she opened the post recently to find her letter. Applying for the role of a motorcycle stunt rider had been returned to her because it had been stuck behind a post office drawer since 1976. Is it too late? She's still going for it, couldn't she?
Maybe.
Let's find out. Jake Zuckerman's Beat to Beat Her.
On BBC Radio 5 Live, our correspondents Lise Doucette and Paul Adams will answer some of your questions on the current conflict. You can also watch it live on the BBC News channel and online.
The time now is 7:37 and we've had a big story at home as well this morning because the water regulator Ofwat has ordered water companies to pay refunds totalling nearly £158 million to customers after a record year of sewage spills.
We are joined now by Ofwat's Chief Executive